What's up, guys? My name is Marcos Garcia, and you're on Conversations with One Percenters. And today I got a special guest, Andrew Kroeze. Did I say that correctly?
Nailed it, man. Not many
Perfect.
people get that.
I cheated. I watched your school group intros. You said your name, and I'll kind of like listen to that over and over. So
Awesome.
I want to make sure I pronounce everyone's name correctly. But yeah, welcome to the show. So I'm starting a new ritual, and I really tried to get this with my last guest, but he had to jump off very quick, unfortunately, and we were too deep into the podcast to actually get this going on, like this question. But I want you to ask the first question for my next guest. I want you to
That's
just
interesting.
shoot a question out. Whatever question you come up with, you have no idea who the guest is. This will be the first question that I ask on my next episode.
All right, let's do it. I'm a big proponent of Dharma, purpose, path. So I would ask him, what is your Dharma and how did you discover it?
What is your Dharma and how did you discover? Can you Dharma? Can you kind of help me with that word? Like what? Like what?
I studied with monks for a month in Deer Park Monastery and went to Shivananda Ashram Ranch in 2021. There's a great book called The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope that talks all about Dharma, but it's a reason for being on this earth, our deep why, our purpose. And everybody has it. And it's about unwrapping the layers to discover your Dharma, your true essence, your true being. So maybe reading The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope could help, but I love asking that question of discovering people's reason for being or Dharma.
That honestly, that's a fantastic question, and I'm actually curious now. Your Dharma.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I have to ask you the question. So I didn't get the question from the guest, but I did talk to my girlfriend. I said, "Hey, you get to ask the first question on today's podcast." So before we get, I do want to know that because I'm very curious. I actually like Steve Jobs and I like the meditation stuff like that. I've never been perfect with it, but I do like all that stuff. So first question, what did you want to be when you grew up, and how is that similar to what you do now?
Oh man, that's a good question. I wanted to be a baseball player growing up. I grew up in Cleveland in the 90s, so the Indians were really, really good then. I would imitate Ken Griffey Jr. and just toss baseballs up and hit them in my backyard. And I think how it correlates to what I'm doing now is that I would love statistics,
Okay.
and reading the back of baseball cards and all of that. And I've developed the knack of building out systems and just anything data processing, specifically through Airtable and Go High Level and that sort of stuff, which just lights me up because I love the James Clear quote: "We don't rise to the level of our goals; we fall to the level of our systems." So I'm always looking for a way to better my systems in each area of my life and make data-driven decisions instead of emotional ones.
Okay. That kind of reminds me of a quote of Sam Ovens is like, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, but we fall to the level of our minimum standard.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's cool. And I actually recently just started learning about systems. I'm going to be honest with you. I tried Airtable. I had looked at it and I probably spent 5 minutes and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And then dipped
Yeah.
out. I was like, so you have to have a knack and know what you're doing. And I saw that you literally teach that on your YouTube channel. Tons of videos on Airtable, which I'm honestly going to be diving in and learning.
Yeah, I've used Asana, ClickUp, Monday, great project management systems. But what I find with Airtable is it's like putty. You can create any system you want out of it. There's so many awesome native automations, and you can link it up with with Zapier and Make to just about anything. So, or Stripe account or GHL leads, all of that stuff in there. Also, like your Oura Ring score, you can bring that over to perfect. We have systems around that for our brothers inside of our programs. And it's just like putty. You can create anything out of it. And there's a learning curve to it. People bang their head against a wall for like 2 weeks. And then once you get it, you get it. And you're like, holy crap, this is so powerful. And yeah, I just love Airtable. It's the best system I've ever used. It's great for data visualization, taking data and turning it into information that we can make decisions from. Notion is really good too for documentation and SOP creation and all of that. But the combination between, I find Notion, Airtable go high level business wise is just so powerful.
And people can learn that on your YouTube channel, correct? You teach, you have multiple videos, I think dozens of videos about Airtable.
Yeah, I was feeling a need in the marketplace. Most Airtable videos on YouTube suck. I just love talking about it. So I've created dozens and dozens on my YouTube channel.
I'm definitely going to check it out. But let's go back into the first question that you have for our next guest, and I'm kind of curious about that with you. Is like, what's your? Am I asking this correctly when I say what's your dharma?
Yeah. No, simply put, it's to end suffering. Very much in alignment with the Buddhist philosophy. But I was super depressed for 6 years, from 18 to 24 years old. And I was in and out of therapy. I was taking Wellbutrin, Lexapro, poly drug user, heavy drinker. And I suffered a lot just internally. Like so many doubts, so many fears, so much shame, so much guilt. And I think that prepared me for when I finally quit drinking, when I finally started to take care of my health when I was 24, to bring the lessons I learned from the immense amount of suffering that I incurred over 6 years, to help people not suffer as much. So I think that's a big part is my dharma. I think very common across humans. But yeah, that's how I would answer it.
So you still currently don't drink?
No, I quit for 4 years, and
Okay.
then I probably drink every 3 months or so. I think
Okay.
I think it's really good for anybody to take like a 1 year reset off of drinking if they have a problem. And I also think drugs and alcohol was put on this earth for a reason. It helps us shake up our snow globe. The issue is when we become dependent on it. Um,
Mm.
and any way that we can shift our perspective and think from a different perspective, I find to be super valuable. Just not becoming dependent on those substances, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel you because I was exactly in that state like 1.5 years ago, and I created a new belief for myself to help me stop because I wanted to go to the next level in entrepreneurship and push past like my biggest problem back 1.5 years ago was I need to quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now my biggest problem is how can I make money in a business? So it's like you're gonna have a problem, like you're gonna have problems, but it's just the kind of problems you like are facing. So the
Mm-hmm.
drinking, I'm very curious about like entrepreneurs and how they view drinking because my belief currently is, and tell me if I'm wrong, and I actually would love to hear your perspective on this. Is I currently view drinking as going backwards now. So like if I was to go out like tonight and just go get a drink and uh, probably chill at the bar for like an hour or two, I would probably come home and be depressed. Like on God, I'd be depressed and I'd be like, fuck, like why'd I do that? One, because I'm already 1.5 years sober, and then two, I'm just like why'd I do that? So, um, what challenges did you face and why did you quit drinking?
Great question. Um, I was depressed for
Okay.
6 years.
Yeah.
That was the biggest challenge. And I got to this point where I was just so tired and so fed up. And kind of like what you were talking about, that one belief. We're honestly one belief away from an entirely new life in any area of our life. And I came by this poem called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. And the
Okay.
final line was, I'm master of my fate, I'm captain of my soul. And that became my driving belief that if I take radical responsibility for my life, I can create anything out of it. And what I didn't
Hmm.
know at the time was I had this subconscious belief that somebody was going to come into my life and save me, that somebody was going to take me out of this awful situation that I put myself in. And then when I adopted that belief that I master my fate, I'm captain of my soul, if I take radical responsibility for my life, I can create anything out of it. that's when I set a goal to lose 20 pounds and to quit drinking in 90 days. And I was in Chicago at the time, and I ran across the street to this pizza shop that had free calendars. And it was April, and I marked off, I think it was like July 14th, and put a circle through it, put the calendar in my room. And every day that I was sober, I put an X through the calendar. And it was right there, right in my environment. So I kept doing that every single day. And I threw away all the alcohol out of my house. I was like, I'm fed up with this. I'm done. I watched all of Damian Patrick's workout videos on YouTube, and I downloaded my Fitness Pal to track my macros. And I learned that it's just calories in versus calories out, and having a high protein intake to retain muscle. And then I went to the gym and followed Damian Patrick workouts 5-6 days a week. And I would weigh myself every 2 weeks, and I would see I would be down a pound to 2 pounds every 2 weeks. And over the course of doing that and just committing to those habits, I weighed myself on day 75, and I was 21 pounds lighter. And then on day 90, I put my final X through the calendar, and I was 90 days sober. And the physical transformation that happened was like, holy shit, if I just commit to something and stop at nothing to achieve
Yep.
it, I can create anything I want out of my life. So that I feel like when I was 24, that was the beginning of the rest of my life, where I started to develop self-love, self-trust, and just a willingness to figure it out. Because then I finally trusted myself. Up until that point, I didn't trust myself until I could actually see it in reality.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Was during that time when you were drinking and stuff like that, was that were you into entrepreneurship at all at that time?
Dude, Ty Lopez,
Okay.
like all 2016 was when I started diving into it. And all the YouTube videos, and I think Elliot Holtz was another one that I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on, and joined all the Facebook groups and that sort of stuff. And then I was a freebie seeker for the longest time. And I was so afraid to invest into myself. And I got on one of Ty Lopez's webinars, and it was for a social media marketing agency. At $600 to my name, I was $82,000 in student loan debt. And I
Damn.
was like, oh, like the thing that changed it for me was I only need 10 clients at $1,000 a month to make 10K a month. I was like, that's it. He simplified it a lot. And I shit my pants joining his program, put my last of my money in on a credit card. And I didn't get a client for 6 months. like,
Damn.
but it may help me become an entrepreneur. I am
Okay.
so grateful for Ty Lopez shooting an ad in his garage in front of a car and a bunch of books, because I don't know where I would be without him helping me say yes to myself, which was the biggest part. And after that, I joined another course. I joined another coaching program. And it was just, I needed to build up more skill sets and be around more like-minded people. And I
Yep.
just kept investing into myself, and ended up getting to a point where my agency was doing about 12 to 15K per month. I joined a 10K coaching program to help me launch a Facebook group and create my first offer, scaled that to 62K in a month in 4 months. And then after that, it was just, I invested into a $100,000 mastermind with Scott Olford. And it was less about like the actual program and more about just me saying I trust myself, and like I'm committed to this, and getting in that energy and being around
Yep.
like-minded people more than anything else. So yeah, for the past 5 years, it's been about $500,000, a little bit over, in investing into mentorships, masterminds, coaching programs, that sort of stuff.
That's impressive. Honestly, that is very impressive. And I can relate with you on the Ty Lopez thing, because I remember it was just like laying in my bed. I honestly had no clue what an entrepreneur, like a mentor or anything was, but I'm just like laying there, just scrolling, watching YouTube videos, and all I see is like, here in my garage, my Lamborghini, and like Ty Lopez was that first person who kind of like triggered me to want to be into the entrepreneur space. He didn't like, I never bought into his program or anything, but he was like the one that like opened my eyes to like just something different.
Yeah,
So
it's so great. I mean, his programs aren't phenomenal. I mean, some of his videos, he's just walking down the street using his iPhone. But dude, so grateful for him getting so many people into this space and them saying yes to themselves and building their dream life, you know?
yeah. What's a common misconception you think people have about entrepreneurship? Because like for me, I think I told you like very in the very beginning, I thought entrepreneurship was like, hey, let's make money. One, I thought you made money just to spend it because I was like, I'm making all this money, I can go spend it because I'm making more money. And then two, like my ultimate goal was I think I wanted a Ferrari. I was like, okay, I want to drive a Ferrari. I want a nice house. Boom, boom, boom. But I had all this vision, but I was drinking Red Bulls. I was going out and drinking alcohol. I was messy as hell. Like if you look at one of my photos of my first business, I had like my whole office was literally just messy, like complete stuff everywhere. And so what do you feel like is like the misconception?
I think you nailed it. You come into it thinking that it's a material thing, and you, after a few years, you realize it's a spiritual thing. In entrepreneurship, it's an internal game. And the best entrepreneurs in the world, they've developed the best amount of emotional mastery and ability to tolerate process stress. They can just do that the best. And the person who can
Okay.
tolerate and process stress the best stays in it the longest, which the people who stay in it the longest are the most successful entrepreneurs. So thinking that it's going to be easy, thinking that you're going to have the Ferrari and all of that, the mansion, all of that. And then you get into it and it's kind of an addiction around, a good addiction around bettering yourself every single day, you know, and watching those ones. Yeah.
You said spirituality. I'm not too spiritual. I'm not. When you say spirituality, are you talking about like Jesus Christ spirituality, or are you talking about just like this discovering who you are spirituality?
Yeah, more so less around religion and more around spirit. So we're not our thoughts, we're not our feelings, we're not our actions, we're the observer of those things. Like you can have a conversation with yourself in your head right now. That means that
Yes.
there are two things at play. They're your thoughts and then the observer of the thoughts. So what is the observer of those thoughts? It's your soul. It's your being, right? And your soul and your being is connected to spirit, whatever that is. Whatever you want to call it. Your spirit, God, universe, oneness, all of that stuff. And I wasn't spiritual at all for the longest time. And then I went through a few experiences that just dropped me to my knees where I fully surrendered and let go and tapped into more of my soul, my being in the moment. And I could feel more of that spiritual connection, that oneness, that wholeness that glues all of humanity together. But a lot of that is missed in today's society because we're so in our heads. We're chugging caffeine, Red Bull, that sort of stuff. And we're not able to be in this present moment. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of hard exercise. When we hit that hard exercise, we're dropped into our body, dropped into our heart, dropped into our soul, right? The being in this
like
moment.
like get into like the hardest exercise possible where you're just like pushing yourself to the next limit.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
even Wes Watson talks about this. If you know him, he's like one of those super macho mans. He's like, I have conversations with God at the gym. That's where I get my messages. Is when I'm in the moment, in the being, that sort of stuff. Hard breathwork sessions, meditation sessions, the being, the oneness with the soul, so we can feel the spiritual, the oneness connection, right? So that's kind of how I describe it. It has no dogma, no religion. It's just truth of oneness. And the only way we can experience spirit is from being in the present moment and connected to our soul, you know?
So my next question is, how does someone get into the present moment when they haven't been living in the present moment all their life?
Mm-hmm. This was me. I needed to have like intense experiences. So 2018, I made $500,000 in my business. I didn't know how to run a business. It was just all profit because I didn't have any team members. I had a Facebook group and I was selling some offers, working about 15-hour days. I burnt the fuck out. So I needed to get away because I was so in my head. I was in burnout. I was totally depleted. And I went to Deer Park Monastery for a week initially, and got away from everything. Wasn't on my phone, wasn't on my computer, anything like that. Would wake up at 5 in the morning and meditate for an hour when I hadn't meditated at all. And in those moments of like deep experiences over a long period of time, there were moments where I just started to feel it. Where it was like 20 minutes into the meditation on the third day, I believe, it was like, whoa, I don't have a thought in my head. Like, it was like, whoa, the past minute, I've been in this moment. I haven't had a thought in my head. And I think it's um, those moments where we hit that really hard workout, or we go into that cold shower or that cold plunge for 5 minutes, or we do that breath work for 30 minutes, where our thoughts just go away. And then it's like
Mm.
that's the present moment, and that is soul. That is being here, right now, which I believe life is all about. Like being present with your loved ones and totally in the moment and flow and conversation. Your souls are connecting and intertwining, right?
Hmm.
And especially as entrepreneurs, we can fall into the trap of being so in our head that we miss out on so much of life and so much of connection and so much of feeling and being in this moment, where it can help us, yeah, grow our business for a period of time, but then at some point we're going to burn out and hate our lives, right?
Yes.
So developing the practices of being in the moment and those kind of intense practices where you can feel that feeling of being in the moment and being connected to soul, that's kind of how you want to do it. Like those intense, I'm in this moment, through different exercises.
So for the people watching right now, what is one thing you would tell them to do every day to get into the present moment?
Oh, dude, great question. The easiest one is work out.
Okay.
Um, like if we just commit to working out 20 minutes per day, we'll release more dopamine, stabilize our dopamine levels, increase our endorphin levels. And after 20 minutes of exercise, we typically release nitric oxide in our biology that helps us become more in the present moment. That's by far the simplest way to be in the moment. What I do in the morning, my morning ritual is all about connecting with soul. So I do 10 minutes of exercise to strengthen my physical energy. I do 10 minutes of breath work to process my emotional energy. And then I do 10 minutes of meditation to focus my mental energy. I think when we strengthen our physical energy, process our emotional energy, and focus our mental energy, that's when we're in soul and in the current moment.
Cool. I'm gonna try. I do work out. I would say like I do an hour walk, but I don't know if that's considered like the workout you're talking about.
Yeah, I think like the intense in the moment workouts when we're fully in our body, when we hit
Okay.
that new PR on the squat rack, or when we hit that new PR on bench, where we're
Just
just like
go full force. 20 minutes. 20 minutes is just go at it.
it's just like of one of my most spiritual moments was hitting a new PR on squat in 2017. And I remember everything faded away in that moment. And I had like 345 pounds on my back. And it was just like, oh, it's just me and the weights right now. So those moments are what make life beautiful and challenging ourselves, you know?
Yeah, no, I do want to. I want to start challenging myself more, especially when it comes to workouts, because I feel like I got to that like comfortable spot where I just like do the same reps that I do every time.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I tell myself that I'm not trying to get like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just want to be fit. That's what I tell myself.
I love it, man. And I think my best ideas come when I'm hitting a heavy breathwork session, or I'm working out really hard, or when I do a long meditation. Like the best ideas for my business have come in those moments. compared to just doing everything behind the computer. So,
So I have a selfish question for you.
yeah.
So I'm obviously working back into my entrepreneur journey. I did, like I said, I had a marketing agency back in 2017. I had my learning curve from 2017 to about 2023, and I'm getting back into entrepreneurship now. I'm curious, how did you? Because I'm sure it wasn't easy. Like, it sounds easy, like you've talked, and it sounds like you just literally just went straight uphill. How was it? How was it for you when, like, you started your marketing agency? I know you probably worked a job. Like, what was your thought processes on that? Because me currently, I'm stuck in the position where I'm working a job and I want to go to the next level. And I'm sure you might work with people that are in that phase, or you have worked with people in that phase in the past. But how was it for you during those times?
Yeah, with working with those people, we've helped over 1,000 businesses, coaching agencies scale past six figures, and so many of them quit their job so they can do that. For me, it was just continually investing into coaching. So I had Ty Lopez, and then I joined Dan Henry's program. Then I joined Johnny West's program. Then I built my business up to a place where I had $65,000 in my bank account, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And
Hmm.
then I invested the rest of that $65,000 into it was called the Congruent Coach by Alex Moscow to run my first live event. Yeah.
So you made 65 and you just invested the whole 65.
Yeah.
So you're
No,
back you're back at zero. You're back at zero.
I paid in full for that bad boy, and he had payment plan options. And it was more of me saying yes to myself and I can do this. And it caused me to
Hmm.
shut my brain off. And it was scary as fuck. And there were so many moments where I was like, did I make the right decision? All that stuff. And then it manifested into reality where we did $1.1 million at Tribe Buyers Live in 2019 at a live event. And it was just always having coaches and always connecting with people inside of those coaching programs that my network grew, and I changed my inputs that changed my outputs, and just started to trust myself more and more and more. The second thing to that, dude, everybody here should be growing an audience and building a brand. Like, if you have a brand and you have an audience, you'll never be poor. We look at Alex
Hmm.
Harmozy, built his brand and audience like crazy over the past 2 years. He was successful before that, but he's gone to another level by optimizing his brand and his audience.
I
Um,
agree.
and it's just always having a coach. I for last year I didn't have a coach for 6 months, and my business flatlined. And then I joined Eli Wild's program and got coaching from him on speaking and sales. And then we saw it go up again. And it was like, why the fuck did I do that last year? So, and then I joined Cole's program, which I worked with Cole. I helped him launch his Closers IO initially, and he made 200K in his first month from his initial launch because he's
Hmm.
Cole Gordon. And then his stuff is so good. I'm like, I need to pay him money and get around his audience and get some coaching from his coaches. So I ended up joining his program 3 months ago. But it's a shortest path to what we want is learning from other people's mistakes and
Okay.
learning their pathway and their roadmap. Um, so I, I think the biggest thing for me was just constantly investing into myself. And Alex Harmozy always says, like, the distance between where we're at and where we want to go is a matter of building skill sets. And I was able to accelerate the time it took me to build my skill sets around audience growth, around webinar creation, around fulfillment and delivery for my clients from joining all of these programs.
Yeah. So put yourself back in a job. Just say you had to go all the way back. You're working a job, and just say you don't know you know what you know now, but you lost it all. Let's just say you lost everything. You got to go
Yeah.
work. You got to go work a job. What's your what would be your strategy to getting to 10,000 your first $10,000 per month?
Yeah. So I was in a job when I started my agency. So when I bought Dan's program and Ty Lopez's and that sort of stuff. And I think where people screw up is I get it if they have kids and a family and that sort of stuff, but if you don't need to replace your income. I got my first client with agency and I was making only like 3,500 a month from my sales job. I got my first client and then I was like, if I just devote my time and attention to getting more clients like this and just quit my job and live in my parents' basement for a little bit, then and reduce my expenses, like I'll be good and just invest into my skill sets. So I think on that side of things, the mindset side of things, it's you got to jump before you're ready or you might not ever jump, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and then the other side of it to get to 10K months, the easiest way to go is kind of what you're currently doing. Meeting with high level people, getting them on podcasts and creating partnerships with them and working on getting in front of their audiences and having a list of different workshops that you can do for their free audience or their paid audience as well around what you're the best at. And that's how we get the majority of our clients now is just 60 to 90-minute workshops that we do in front of our audience and other people's audiences. And that's totally organic. We're actually just starting to run ads for the first time in this new business I've created. But partnerships, easiest way. If you can find your Michael Jordan of partnerships and somebody who can just promote your stuff into their big audience, that's by far the cheapest way and easiest way. You know?
Interesting. No, that's very interesting. Uh, you mentioned something earlier about. I think you mentioned something about beliefs. Beliefs. I think briefly you had mentioned something about like a belief, but
Mhm.
I follow Sam Ovens and he says if you don't believe it, like for instance, you are your belief, like your whole
Mhm.
life is your belief. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Um, I so there's a mindset belief component, and then there's an emotional energetic component behind it. So, for example, with our beliefs and with our mindset, that drives our emotions and drives our behaviors, right? So, if let's say somebody when I was growing up just said I was worthless, like that sort of stuff. And that can stick with us for a whole freaking life until we give it attention and switch belief. So, for
Mm.
example, my mom used to tell me that I only care about myself. I'm selfish, all that stuff. I was super entrepreneurial from a young age. That I would go out, sell candy bars and that sort of stuff, and kind of just focus on that stuff. And my mom, she didn't mean to, and I love my mom, but she gave me that belief. And it wasn't until I had a somatic therapy session when I was 28 where I felt into my body and I heard my mom's voice of that heard my mom's voice that you only care about yourself, you're so selfish, all of that stuff. And it made me realize I held myself back from fully opening up to people because I was afraid they would look at me as selfish and that sort of stuff. I changed that belief to I deeply care about people. I want everybody to succeed. I am present and aware in every moment, that sort of stuff. Totally changed how I operated with people. So instead of when I'm talking to somebody, the belief coming up that, oh, don't let them think that you're selfish or anything like that, I have the belief that comes up that I'm present, I'm aware, I care deeply about this person, and allows me to open up and connect more deeply with that person. Our beliefs drive our lives, right? Our beliefs create our thoughts, which create our feelings, which create our actions, and our
Mm.
actions produce our results, right? So if we grew up in a household where we didn't have any money and money was scarce, which isn't a true belief, look at all the people with money. But if we change that to money is abundant, money flows effortlessly to me, I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur, we are much more likely to have those thoughts around that, our feelings around that, our actions around that, and our results around that. And it all starts with the belief, right? Um, my core beliefs are I master my fate, I'm captain of my soul, I'm an antenna and vehicle for love and truth, I'm the way, I'm light, I'm the path, I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur. There's so many more that I could go down there. But if we just identify the beliefs that serve us and start to work out the ones that don't, and be aware of those and be okay with those being there at this moment, and consciously start to work towards building new beliefs, then our life rapidly changes. And it also, the easiest way to install a belief is by taking imperfect action towards what we actually desire. Setting a goal like losing 20 pounds and quitting drinking, of and working towards that belief naturally starts to manifest because we start to see it in real life. It's just being fear of judgment and fear of what other people are going to think about us. But we're going to look stupid at first. That's totally okay. The first time we go to the gym, the first time we put that post out. But that's how we build into that belief and build into building that skill set. So beliefs are important, but imperfect action is how we can see that in reality and really build that belief.
Interesting. And if you don't believe that, like say you have the opposite, like, man, I feel like I could be an 8-figure entrepreneur, but I don't know if I'm good enough, then that's going to drive your actions to probably not achieve that result.
Yeah. And the easiest way to do that is just surround yourself, like invest in yourself, surround yourself with those types of people with that mindset, and then it rubs off on us naturally, you know?
Interesting. So school group, 7-figure entrepreneurs. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell us what you do? I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know like what you do and who you help.
Yeah. So I ran a business called Tribe Buyers for 4 years. I'm one of the only people in the space to have built and sold a coaching company. I've worked with people like John Whiting, Eli Wild, Cole Gordon, Bastian Slott, a lot of big names in the space. And I sold that simply because I was ready to take time off. All in the same month in 2021, I got in a car accident, woke up in the hospital, broke up with my girlfriend, had a falling out with my best friend. And I was like, I just want to take time off. I took a year off and started developing my own vision, my own values, my own beliefs, and creating a system around it. So we have one side of the business, which is more around personal development and self-mastery, where we use a centralized system to hold you accountable using Slack and Airtable, where there's everything around your fitness, around your mindset, around your energy rituals, tapping into soul, all of that. One spot, really awesome community around that. And then the other side is we have done for you systems and process installation to help you scale your business past multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, which is called the Business OS, which is one centralized system for your company. So those are the two things that we do. I think the coaching industry is shifting to more custom help. And people are getting tired of all these group calls and all of that stuff. So we link up Slack channels. It's more one-to-one custom roadmaps.
Okay.
We have support coaches, all of that. So our thing first is, hey, let's help you scale past 30K organically so you can invest 3 to 5K per month into advertising to scale past 7 figures. And inside of the school community, that's really the starting point. You can check out our Business OS, our Human OS, start developing those things. And it's a really awesome community where we do a call every Thursday as well, a Q&A call every other week. And then just like last week, we did a DM setting masterclass to help you book in more calls. A lot of free courses, a lot of amazing people, mostly coaches and agency owners in there. But yeah, I just love building community. And the school is freaking awesome nowadays. So I've shifted. I have a Facebook group of 24,000 members, but we've shifted most of our attention to the school community and growing that.
Is that because I saw you had you on your Instagram, you talked about brotherhood. Is that included with like a private mastermind?
Yeah, Brotherhood is a mix between the Human OS and the Business OS to help you scale past 20, 30K per month and have you feeling your best, thinking your best, acting your best on the Human OS personal development side. It's really awesome. We got 62 brothers in there right now, spanning from mindset coaches to agency owners to business coaches. And we do an event every 6 months. Our next one is coming up September 13th through the 15th. We go to the desert near the border in Mexico and California. And it's all about connection to self, connection to vision, and connection to others. So it's really cool. That's what lights my soul up the most.
I saw that. It was very interesting. I'm not sure if you're a fan of Andrew Tate, but he has like his war room or his war member, whatever they're called. That
Mhm.
that sparked my interest because it's hard to get around other entrepreneurs. Like it's
Mm.
hard to find other entrepreneurs who have the same values, the same mindsets, the same beliefs, and things like that. And when like it's awesome that you built that, because when you can get that together and you can get a group of people like that, especially men,
Mhm.
you can really like it just feels like you are a part of something like bigger than just what you're building.
Yeah, the easiest way to change our life is change the people we surround ourselves with. We're the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with most. And I've gotten so much from being a part of so many different coaching programs and communities and being part of those. That I've really taken the best of the best from those different communities and put it all into the brotherhood. And we also have a sisterhood now that's run by Lauren Turton. I go in there and build them out a roadmap and do a call a week with some laser coaching, but it's really fun.
So for someone to join that, what is like? Well, how would they be a part of that?
Yeah, I can drop a couple links down below so they can
Okay.
learn more or book in a call. And what we do is on the first call is just understand more of what you want, like where you're looking to go, and build out a game plan to scale your business and scale your life. And then if you want to be a part of that and be around the other brothers or sisters, then we can explore that as well. But we like delivering value up front and seeing if somebody wants to be a part of it.
And I'm curious, why should someone join you? Why should someone join your program? You know what I mean? Because they're probably questions that they're having for themselves. They're like, okay, like you said, coaching and consulting industry is changing. It's shifting.
Mhm.
It went from it's gone from I think from just like courses in general to now
Mhm.
communities. Sam Evans built this amazing platform called School. So now it's kind of like it's shifting.
Mhm.
So out of everyone out there, why learn from you? Like where like how can you help?
Yeah, thank you, man, for the
Yep.
opportunity to answer this. On the business side, I've sold things from $97 to $60,000 inside of the Brotherhood and Sisterhood. I've downloaded my entire business brain into there with processes, SOPs, all of that stuff. And everything is very customized and one on one. We link up Slack channels so you have support at any time. There's a 2x ROI guarantee, so you literally have nothing to lose. We'll work with you until you 2x your investment. And then on the personal side of things, you brought up Andrew Tate. He's very much like he has nothing of the feminine and it's just all masculine drive, which is great for some people. Some people really will thrive off that for a period of time. But I have the firm belief from being in that world for so long is that that's not the way. It's more of the Tao. It's the balance of the masculine and the feminine. Um, there's ancient scripture that says, when the two become one, that's when we enter the kingdom of heaven. When we know how to drive, be in our masculine and get the results, but also turn it off and be present and in the moment with our loved ones and with ourselves, that is what life is really about. So that's our philosophy on the self mastery, personal development side, is that it's the balance between the two, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Andrew, and I feel like Andrew Tate's more about like he's got like a $50 product. He's not going to teach you everything you need to know for $50.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, if you want that, then you could join his program. But like you're going to teach more different things. Systems. There's a
Mm-hmm.
few things you said you like talking about. One, you like talking about spirituality. You like talking about energy,
Mm-hmm.
systems, and offer creation. So systems, I'm new to systems. And I'm very just now learning how important it is. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know the question to ask, but what can you teach? What basic overview of systems can you teach like right now that they can kind of give me like a better understanding of the systems and why I need it?
Yeah, great question. So, to give you some context, I hired somebody in 2018 to help me with processes and systems. I didn't get it whatsoever. Like
Yeah,
initially, it was not good with systems, processes, anything like that. And then over time and being exposed to it more and going through Atomic Habits by James Clear, diving deep into Airtable, you start to realize that everything is a system and we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. Another quote around that is that every system is perfectly designed for the result that it gets. So let's say that I'm overweight
mm,
and I'm 30 pounds heavier than I want to be. That means that my nutrition and my fitness system is not set up for the results that I actually want out of life. Okay, cool. Let's look at that system. Let's look at the elements of it. What are you putting into your body? Like what's in your fridge right now? How are you even tracking your macros? Probably not. Then we probably want to track some of those things and get that into place if this pain point is really big enough to fix this system, right? And what does our time design look like around going to the gym, or what we're actually when we're eating, what times, who's in our network that can help support with this? What's a course that I can buy? What's a YouTube video that I can watch to change my inputs that would change my outputs? How often am I weighing myself to see if I'm on track or off track with my weight and what I want to lose? Um, so that's kind of like a simple example in life. But I love the quote, frameworks, not hard work. So and I think it's more frameworks and hard work. But when we know the framework around something, it makes it so much easier to build a system, right? So if we're talking about business, really good framework is the value chain. So how are we getting awareness? How are we generating them as a lead? How are we nurturing that lead to ultimately book a call? Then after the call conversion, how are we fulfilling for that client? And then how are we getting upsell, referral, testimonial, right? In terms of departments, we've got operations and human resources and that sort of stuff.
yep.
So then business is broken down real simply into these different systems. So I can say as a business owner, oh crap, we're getting a lot of awareness, but they're not actually generating into leads. So how can we
Mm,
create a better lead magnet to fix that system? So then the new issue might be call bookings. Cool. How can we create a new conversion mechanism to generate more call bookings, right? And how
yep.
are we tracking that and that sort of stuff? So everything is a system. And when we know the frameworks behind the system, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to put the right processes, the right people, and the right feedback loops in place to optimize those systems.
And how do you determine which system you want to focus on? Because like you have life systems and business systems. You know what I mean? So like,
Mhm.
what would you say are the core life systems that you need to focus on? You mentioned the core business ones just a minute ago, but like, what are
Yeah,
the core life ones? Because I think those are just as important as the business. Because how you treat life is how you treat business.
great question. So this is the framework that we use with our clients and I've used for the past 2 years is we first look at the seasons of life and the seasons of business. So seasons of life, am I in a self season, a wealth season, a relationship season, or a spirituality season? So, what is the gap in my life right now? Like, is my body feeling good and my energy is good and I would just want to build wealth right now? Cool. Let's
Mm,
put our time, energy, and attention into those systems. And it doesn't mean we don't go work out or we don't have relationships. It means the majority of our time, energy, and focus is going towards wealth, right? So that's
yep.
the first lens we look at it through. It's like, what's the gap and what season are we in life? In business, we have a winter season, which is operations. We have a spring season, which is marketing. We have a sales season, which is summer. And we have a fulfillment season, which is fall, right? What is the
Okay.
gap in my business right now? Is it I need to generate more leads? Cool. Let's put our time, attention, focus into marketing and into generating those leads and start working on developing those systems, right? So that's where we start. And usually in life, the big thing is our physical energy. So that is where it all starts. Let's say I'm eating like shit and I'm drinking like shit and I'm not going to the gym. Let's fix the physical first, right? And then let's say my physical is fixed. Cool, I'm doing much better with that. There might be some emotional processing that needs to go on from all these layers that have built up.
Yes.
So let's work on processing our emotions, which can come through somatic therapy, breath work, moments of presence, stories of empathy with like minded people, that sort of stuff, and process those emotions because it gets stuck in the body. And then we'll always keep going back to our past if we don't process those emotions, right? And then it might be cool. I'm feeling a lot better around that. Let's optimize our focus. So, what does our time design look like? What does our meditation practices look like? That sort of stuff. Then around life, it might be relationships. I feel like I'm not connecting with many people and building the systems around that. Um, yeah, I love that question. There's so many things I can go into.
Yeah, no, that there's a lot. I feel like you can go very, very deep into those. And two things that you mentioned. One thing I'm very curious, and you brought it to my attention just now: time and time
Hmm.
management. With all this going
Hmm.
on, like you're having to build all these systems, you're having to do. Seems like a lot. You know what I mean? Like if you just told the average person this, they'd be like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Time management. How are you using your time to the best of your ability, and how have systems helped you better use your time? Because a big struggle I'm running into is there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough
Yeah.
time, and I'm like, man, like if only I had more time.
Yeah.
So
100%. I used to feel that way too. And then it's, oh, everybody has the same 24 hours in the day. It's
yes,
not about the time of the day, but how much you're using these, right? Using these hours. Um, what I've found that works best for me is, and what we teach our clients is, it's less about our time and time management, but how much energy do we have in our time? And a lot of people's biology is fucked up with a lot of cortisol, a lot of stress hormones coursing through their veins. So, one of the first things that we do is help you set up an energy schedule. So, you're reducing your cortisol, increasing your serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, that sort of stuff. And we see our brothers lose a shit ton of weight and then add 2 to 3 hours worth of productivity to their days. So usually it's more around the energy component where people can then have that energy to stick to their schedule and their time design. Instead of just having this beautiful calendar that's set up, you've got to be present and aware and in the moment to actually stick to it, right?
correct.
So then the second thing is actually designing our time and living and dying by our calendar. And on the weekends, I have a section that either says relationships or fuck off. I just have this open time on the weekends to kind of just have free space. And sometimes I mark it off where I'm very structured on the weekends, but typical weekends, not so much. But during the week, like right now, I just got a notification to go to the gym, right? It hit the new hour, and I know exactly
Mm.
what I'm doing during that time. So I can hyper focus on that activity. And before I was doing this, my mind would just run on work. And then what I've realized where I live and die by my calendar now is I have relationship time from 6 until 10 o'clock tonight. So I know I want to be present and aware with Arlie. I don't even need my girlfriend. I don't even need to think about business because this is my relationship time, right? And that helps me rest and rejuvenate for the next day. So that's one element of it. I recommend that everybody carves out the first 30 minutes to hour of their day to get into their own rhythm, not somebody else's rhythm. So, where I used to screw up in the past, I would check my phone, check my emails, check my text messages, and I would be in somebody else's rhythm and it would be
Mm.
reactive instead of proactive. So now I carve out the first 30 minutes to an hour of my day to get into my own rhythm into myself. I'll go for a walk, my breath work, my meditation, my exercise, that sort of stuff. So then I'm more intentional with my life and living my life by design instead by default, right? And then everybody has about 2 hours of deep work in their day. If you don't have that carved out on your calendar, like I didn't, I missed out on so much productivity. 2 hours of deep work is when we have the most energy and focus naturally throughout the day. For me, it's between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And those 2 hours are always carved out where I don't talk to my team, I don't talk to clients, I don't talk to prospects, anything like that. Those 2 hours are just for the number one project I want to get done. So it might be a VSL, it might be an email sequence, it might be whatever that big project is for that time. So 2 hours during that. All my afternoon is small tasks and calls. Like I don't have any calls until 11 a.m. That's when I start my calls. Anything
Okay.
in the morning, nothing. I don't want to get into other people's rhythm. I want to be in my own.
So no matter what, you're making sure you're into your zone. Like it doesn't matter what's going on. That's like a must thing that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because for me, it's so easy to get distracted and to get lost into things that don't actually matter unless I am carving out my morning where I'm hyper intentional with what I'm doing. So that's and then I have my whole calendar color coded and that sort of stuff. I can see the client calls, I can see the team calls, and just at a glance see it by a color. So.
You had a one. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna go back. I'm literally gonna go back and listen to that exact thing because that's time management is something that I've been big on. I've even cut back and bought a scooter. You can't see it right here right now, but I've cut back, bought a scooter because I'm like trying to just like get the most out of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
So I wrote something down because I wanted to make sure I asked this question. Oh, on your YouTube channel, you had it was like a pyramid and it had like
Mm-hmm.
multiple levels. It had like
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 per month. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're basically a newbie and you're not even basically a business owner until you hit like 100,000, $300,000 per month or
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around there. Can you elaborate on that? So like the phases of growth of a business, and then like some of the things that like maybe you see people go through, and I was
Yeah.
curious about that.
Yeah, man. So at the very bottom, we have 0 to 10K per month, which is like the hardest place to crack because usually it comes down to mindset and just being surrounded by the right people. Because when we're not, we're basically in the corporate mindset and that sort of stuff. And then we think about quitting and that sort of stuff. And in artist phase, 0 to 10K per month, it's having one channel of building your audience, it's having one offer, and it's about developing your sales skills. That's it. And the first level is this is from Cole Gordon, make yourself rich, make your clients rich, then make your team rich. Like just focus on booking calls and closing calls and having one high ticket offer in artist phase. You do that for 3 months and building your audience, you'll be past 10K. It's just about focusing and not getting distracted and being around the right people, right? Um, then builder phase is 10 to 50K per month, where we start to get some team members. So we recommend a setter, a VA to get shit off your plate, a part-time client success manager, and maybe a closer towards the end of builder phase. And most people go through the income roller coaster here because it's terrifying to step into that leadership role and to give away part of your profit. And that's the only way we can scale out of builder phase is having other people help us grow our business, right?
Most people get stuck right there because they want to keep all the income.
Yeah. I was stuck there for a year. I was stuck there for a year because I was terrified to invest. And then I got on a call with this dude named Avery Ford, who was like, dude, I'll help you out with fulfillment. I was like, how much is it? And it's like $5,000 a month. And I was like, oh shit, best thing I ever did. Over the course of that year, we tripled our business because I started to get shit off my plate and started to scale. So builder phase is like people go through the income roller coaster 10 to 50K because they're too terrified to get people onto their team, but kind of just got to do it and build those skills.
And you also mentioned that, and as your, I hope I didn't ruin your,
Oh, no, you're good.
I hope I don't ruin what's coming next. But you said as you're going to the next phase, you cannot let go of client outreach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In builder phase, we get thrown into fulfillment and into delivery, and we lose sight of top of funnel and getting new leads and booking calls. That's a big reason why people go through the income roller coaster. And we need leverage on our team to scale past those 50K months, right? And so we can keep our focus on getting more awareness and driving more leads and booking more calls, right? If we have the leverage and we keep a focus on that, we can go into systemizer phase, which is 50 to 100K per month. And the way I see it with team members, we have hearts, brains, and hands. So the founders are the heart, the heartbeat, the vision, the values of the company, creating the goals, the projects, all of that. And then we have the executive team that we start to build out in systemizer phase, which is all interpreting the heartbeat and creating the plans and the actions for that. And then we've got the hands who actually do the work, right? It
Yep.
becomes more and more evident as we scale, right? So systemizer phase here, we want to have at least one other brain in our business who we can delegate thinking to that can take a department off our plate. For example, with me, it was Avery Ford back in the day, helping me create videos for the course, support the clients, create plans for fulfillment, all of that stuff, right? And here we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. If you don't have processes, people, and systems in this phase, we won't scale to what I call business owner phase. So business owner, 100 to 3, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, so you're not, I have a curious question. You're not building systems at the bottom, you're building them higher up. Am I right on that or wrong?
Oh, yeah. No, dude. So artist phase 0 to 10K, it's a lot of imperfect, sloppy action. Done
Okay.
is better than perfect. I made my first 50K per month off of a Google document and a Facebook group and good DM setting skills. Like,
That's
I had
it.
no systems back then. No, none.
I guess I got the wrong misconception because I'm thinking like you gotta have like right at the very beginning, you need a perfect system, you need a perfect this, you need perfect that.
No, not at all. Oh
Okay.
my God. It's really just taking massive imperfect action
Damn.
at the beginning, and done is better than perfect. And
That right there. If anyone hears just that word right there and listens to you, they will probably become rich.
yeah,
Massive imperfect
exactly.
action.
At the beginning, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We look stupid at first, but then the puzzle pieces start to fall into place with the massive imperfect action, right? And yeah, so systemizer phase into business owner phase, business owner 100K to 300K per month. We want at least two brains in our business to delegate thinking to. And that's when we really step into the CEO role, is when and we start to lead more than do, right? And that's the big shift in business owner phase. And where a lot of people screw up is they keep doing instead of leading. Like at that point, your team is your leverage. So the more training you put into your team and into hiring, the faster you'll scale out of business owner phase. Board member phase, 300K plus. Like the big thing here in board member phase is team and systems. Like I was talking to Cole not too long ago, and he was just talking about he runs a $40 million sales agency now. And he was just talking about it's just how fast can we hire culture fits and build out systems at that point. That's all that really matters after in business or board member phase, 300K plus.
Interesting. We have hit an hour. I want to respect your time. I know your time is very valuable. I do have a question for you. I am actually very curious. How much is your time worth?
How much is my time worth?
How much is your time worth?
That is actually a really good strategy to sell at events and on sales calls and before sales calls and at webinars and stuff. So if you've heard that question a lot, it's actually really good. Like, how much time are you wasting? You know?
Yeah.
So for me, I haven't put a number on it.
If you had to put a number on it, what would you say your time's worth?
Oh, it's priceless. Let's just put 5K on it.
5K.
Yeah.
This is a 5K podcast. By watching this, people will get $5,000 investment.
Awesome.
Just for free. Basically, they're getting a $5,000 investment for free by just taking 1 hour of their time to watch this podcast. In a sum, I know you said it already. Who specifically can you help? Just in an overall sum, the person you're looking to, they could jump in your groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a coach, there are two levels of the coach. If you're a coach in artist phase or builder phase, there's no way you can't make more money working with us. Like, we've dialed that stuff in over the past 7 years. And then who I love working with, higher level business owner, board member phases, just getting shit off their plate and building out their systems and their processes. So
perfect. And I'm gonna link your Instagram in the description below. People can reach out to you. They can join your group. It's completely free, correct? The
yep.
seven figure entrepreneur. And I'm actually gonna join myself. So there, you already got a member from me.
Awesome.
One, I really appreciate your time. I could dive into so much more, and I'm just like a curious cat right now, because I'm just like, you just got so much to offer. And I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to jump on this podcast with me. And everyone, please go join the free group, 7-Figure Entrepreneur, if you want to make more money, if you want to level up and go to the next level, if you want to be around a brotherhood of other men who are literally going to the next level. Andrew's your guy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcos.